that weird thing.
Right,
Oh,
it doesn't do.
we didn't get the 30-second banner come up this time.
I
Oh
think.
no, disappointed.
Hang on.
Oh no, she's going to do it now. To you all. Welcome to another Meet the Team episode of Truth Beyond Paranormal online. And tonight we are going to be talking about Marcus. Good evening, Marcus.
Hello, mate. Yeah, I'm doing good. Hard day at work, etc., just like the rest of us. No, that's it. My life is very dull during since the beginning of lockdown. Just work. That's it. All
Well,
work.
I think that's all we can do, isn't it?
It used to take forests, not always at night. Yeah, I'd come across some abandoned buildings. I'd never heard of urbex, but apparently I did some of that before I knew it was a thing. Part of it was to see where I was because, forests can be beautiful and abandoned buildings can be really awesome sometimes. But I was always looking over my shoulder and wondering if I call out, will something else call back?
Yeah. I suppose in a way you could look at it as a typical sort of as a coming of age into teenage years, where you have an interest in things like horror films and you watch a horror film and it all revolves around ghosts. And that sort of then sort of asks you questions, doesn't it, on whether something is there or not. And when you go into somewhere, like you say, a forest or an abandoned building, you get that feeling that you're being watched, that something's out there watching you from behind a column or behind a wall or something. Is there something out there watching you? And it starts that level of intrigue, doesn't it?
Do you know what? This very brief chat so far has made me think back a lot. When I was really young, I used to get I wouldn't call them night terrors. Night terrors is when you uncontrollably scream in the middle of the night for no good reason.
Yeah.
As a very young child, I used to get a lot of nightmares, and the nightmares were always the same. Looking back on it, it was almost comically funny. I used to dream that I was being chased by ghosts. But they weren't specters or spirits. It was your typical childhood ghost, like a floating bed sheet with two black eyes.
The Scooby-Doo ghost.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's why I can't remember my initial interest in the paranormal, because when I was a teenager, it turned into an interest. But before that, it was more of I guess it was more of a fear. Like ever since I was young, I was scared that I was being chased by ghosts or whatever. And then as I grew up and became more worldly and, realized that there's no bed sheets trying to come and push me down the stairs, I think it turned into more of an interest of what is a ghost, and are they really here? Do they really exist? Can I find one? Can I talk to one?
Yeah, and I think when you look at it, when you see things like Scooby-Doo with the old bedsheet ghost, it sort of then says it starts a younger mind asking those questions. Like you say, you were having these dreams or night terrors where you were getting chased by this bedsheet. But what it would do then was it would then open your mind a bit more to ask more questions as to what creates a ghost, or what really is a ghost. So it then starts you asking those questions, which then eventually sort of evolves into what we do now.
Yeah. By the way, to answer Ku's question, did you have a nice experience with a spirit? Tell you what, I'm gonna keep that in mind. I'm gonna answer that question after Wayne's asked me a few questions this evening, but I've got a particular story in mind for that question. I'll come back to it. Anyway, sorry, Wayne, go on.
You just throw me off now. We've got a few shout outs to do there. We've got to say, obviously, evening to Koo. We've got Mandy, we have Kevin, we have Koo again. So I'm sort of
We have many Koo.
straight down.
Lots of Koo.
Hello, Koo. Hello, Mandy. Hello, Kevin, and hello, Koo.
Lots of Koo.
Yeah. So yeah, obviously that you know you've gone from that sort of childhood experience where you've experienced something, although be it in a dream, that has asked you more questions to ask out, and now you've got to this stage. You're constantly evolving those questions, because now not only are you saying, is there a ghost in this location, but you're now asking the other questions like what sort of ghost it is, how did that person pass over, and so on and so forth. So your questions are then starting to evolve with it. So yeah. I'm going to evolve that one into the next one. Can you ever remember your first paranormal experience? And if so, what was it?
Yeah, I can. And this story relates to Koo's question, did I have a nice experience with spirit? Short answer is no. My first real experience with what I believed or still believe to be a spirit was when I was 14. Everyone has these. When you can back me up, and Sam can chime in. You know, sometimes in your dreams you get those dreams where everything goes slow, like you try to move. Oh, sorry, I'll use this one. You try to move, but instead of just going like that, it's going like that, and it's almost like pushing through water. In this particular dream, or what I thought was a dream, I woke up in my own bed at night in the dark, and there was a black figure standing at the foot of my bed, and it had these deep glowing eyes, and red,
of course they were.
And I tried to throw off my bed sheets. I just stared at it for a little while, as you do, because you wake up in bed, you stare at this thing, you're like, what the hell is that? I tried to throw off my bed sheets, and everything was going super slow. And I got out of bed, and I remember walking out of my room, down the corridor into my mum's room, and then I stood there and I stared down at my mum, which felt like I was standing there for like an eternity. And then I remember just like that, I turned and walked back out of my mum's room into mine, got into bed, and just went back to sleep. Now, at that point, I didn't think it was an experience with the paranormal. I thought that was a bloody weird dream. But then the next morning, I went downstairs and Mum asked me if I was all right the night before. I said, yeah, of course I was, Mum. Why? And she said, well, I noticed that you were in my room. And what had happened is she caught me as I was leaving. And you know what? I didn't follow that one up. I was too freaked out. I've never followed that one up. But that is what I believe was my first real paranormal experience with a spirit.
And sorry, what age was that?
14.
About 14. So sort of fairly sort of later on in age, because obviously a lot of people sort of have their first experience earlier on than 14, don't they? Usually as a child, you know, rather than a teenager.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I honestly can't remember having one before that. It's quite possible. I mean, you disregard a lot of what happens in your childhood. Sometimes you just boil it down to whether it was all in your imagination. And honestly, I can't think of any particular memories that involve otherworldly beings or people that I was talking to that weren't there. Like you see a lot of these shows where the kids start talking to something on the baby monitor, and the parents are saying, "Oh, they've got an imaginary friend," but then lamps start being flung across the room. But no, I don't recall anything like that during my childhood. 14, when that thing appeared in my bedroom, that was the first time that I think I had a paranormal experience with a spirit, anyway.
Right. Okay. Cool. Right. Kevin says, "What is a demon in your mind?" So, what would you class a demon?
What would I class a demon? Do you know, it's funny. That's something else that I've thought long and hard about. I don't really believe in this biblical construct of good versus evil. Right? I mean, there's right and wrong, obviously, but good versus evil, light versus dark, angels versus demons. I think in my head, both, call them angels and demons, both of those. Then, well, yeah, they are one and the same. I believe they were born as one thing, but just like I'm trying to think of an example, just like men and women, or Caucasians and black people, they're one race that was divided through differences, possibly differences of opinion or differences of purpose. But I think that a demon is what draws out your darkness. I mean, if a demon, if we're talking in terms of what a demon can do to a human being, I think that they are the things that cause chaos. They're the things that draw out a person's darker side.
Yeah.
Which doesn't always necessarily have to be of evil intention, but it's about a balance. I think that both angels and demons exist to try and make humans realize their full potential. Because from what I understand, we are the first of God's creations, and that's a completely different. The whole theory of God is a completely different subject. But we are the first of God's creations to have free will. Everything that came before us was created and serves a purpose. It doesn't think for itself. It does what it's meant to do. Right. And I think, in my opinion, the demon is the thing that draws out our darkness and makes us act accordingly. Much like angels will be the providers of positivity and light. So one person who thinks, I'm gonna go down the road and stab someone because that's what I feel like. The more angelic side is the one that says, don't do that, it's wrong. They are our empathy.
Right. So you're not one of the people that would go along with a popular theory, as well, as it turns out, that the highlighting of demons and angels has been sort of glamorized as such more recently with the likes of Ghost Adventurers and so on. But a popular theory now that has arisen from all of that sort of thing is that demons and angels are just good or bad spirits rather than angels and demons.
No, I don't believe that. I think that a human soul will always be a human soul. A demon is all. I don't think a human soul can convert into a demon. I think that demons are their own creatures, and that if you do come across one, it's probably not a good thing. I think that a lot of people will come across some very dark entities that will throw things like a poltergeist, and it will whisper in your ear and it will drive you mad. But humans do that too. We do it during wars when we use psychological torture. A demon, I think, is something far, far worse, because it's not just whispers in your ear. It's something that can almost hypnotize you into being the worst version of yourself.
Right. Okay. We got any more questions coming on the chat?
I haven't so far.
No, we have. I feel my memories too came around at the age of 10 to 14 too. Can't remember much before, apart from fairies. Then I got premonitions, but I got too scared and blocked them all till I was around 40. I accept and see more now, but if I'm honest, it's more from the light. Yeah, I think that was Koo that made that comment. Unfortunately, you're in control of the comments that come up on the screen. Sam, do your job. So yeah, I mean, it's like we were saying with Koo last week. You know, there are theories and possibilities towards most things that you can find, and you know, it's finding these things, and that's why paranormal investigators do what they do. It is literally to try and find the answers, and you try and find the answers by whatever means necessary.
Well,
Ellen says, "What is your favourites?"
I messed up. I've just written it.
What is your favourites?
Do you know what my favourites are? Blueberry and spearmint. Really like it.
Inside joke now.
Blueberry and spearmint. Yeah, so I would say, yeah, what has been your favourite paranormal experience so far?
Do you know what? Forgive us if we've told this story already.
I probably did.
Okay, well, I'm telling it again.
Okay.
My favourite paranormal experience was scary as hell, but it was the first experience I had, unlike when I was 14, when it could have very possibly been a dream. It was the first experience that I had where there was no hope in hell that it was a dream, because I don't remember going to sleep. Sam and I, when we first got together, I think it'd been like 2 years.
This is good as well because it backs me up. Because I think I know what you're going to say.
We were together for 2 years at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It was around about that, wasn't it? It was quite early on.
Okay, we're done talking now. So we've been together for around 2 years now. Some of you know that Sam and I have been friends since we were 16. So we've been friends for a while, but we've been together at this point for 2 years. We're lying down, trying to go to sleep, hadn't gone to sleep yet. And Sam starts tapping me on the chest, and I open my eyes, and she points, and I look up, and we had this little incense burner with a little tea light candle in it, and the incense burner was on fire. And I stared at it for a second, and then she tapped me on the chest again, and I thought, oh Christ, I better do something. So got up out of bed. I didn't really know what to do at that point. I could not open the door. We used to sleep downstairs in the living room, and it didn't have a lock on the door or anything. It was one of those, you know, those doors that have the ball on it, so it's not an actual latch. Yeah. It's just sort of, yeah. So it was one of those. I could not open that door for love nor money. And we didn't have a cloth, and we didn't really have many tools. So I tried to open the back door, the garden door. Couldn't get it unlocked. But neither of us were freaking out. This was the weirdest part. Neither Sam nor I were freaking out about this. We were just sort of aimlessly walking about the room thinking, how the hell do we put this tea light out? And we're looking around, and then we turn back to the burner, and it's now going up the curtain. And this went on for what, like 20 minutes?
Yeah, must have been.
And it's going up the curtain, and it's starting to go on the couch. And Sam's got it wasn't a broom, was it? It was like one of your mum's swords or something.
Yeah.
She got something, and she started
just putting that out there. Mum has swords.
Yeah, her mum has swords. Don't piss her off. But yeah, she starts banging on the ceiling because her mum's room was directly above us. And then this just kept on going round in circles, and at the end of it, I just thought, oh, to hell with it. And I grabbed the tea light burner, went to the back door, opened the garden door. Now, this is another weird part. The tea burner itself was on fire. It didn't burn. It wasn't hot.
Right.
But anyway, so I opened the garden door and I went out and just casually put it on a coal bunker that was in Sam's old house garden. And then I came back inside. Sam and I looked at each other, sort of did that end of working day, like sort of thing.
Good session.
Good session. And then we lay back down, and then we went to sleep. The next morning, the incense burner was on a
fire. No,
no,
it wasn't.
No, it was in the garden. The incense burner was sitting on a what they called like a nest of tables.
Yeah.
With a glass surface.
Right.
And the next morning we woke up, and obviously I looked at Sam and said, "I had a weird dream last night." And she said, "What, the fire?" And I said, "Yeah." She said, that wasn't a dream. The glass on the nest of tables was cracked. Where's my hand? There it is. Was cracked all the way down the middle in the shape of an arrow, which was pointing directly between where Sam and I generally were sleeping. We don't really know what it was. I'm sure that a lot of the people listening to this right now can relate to what I'm about to say. When you experience something truly paranormal, you don't get shocked and you don't get surprised. You don't really feel anything because your brain can't quite comprehend what just happened, which almost makes it feel like it's not real. Even though you saw it with your own eyes, you've experienced it, you felt it, but you can't come round to the true belief deep in here that it's real because you can't understand it.
Yeah. It's like you're conditioned to be a certain way, and when something happens that you can't understand, it throws you off. So obviously that's why when you do investigations, most people will try and find a suitable answer as to what they've just experienced. If you can't, then it throws you off a little bit, and you can only point the finger in one direction in that case. Which is pretty cool to have that sort of experience happen. And yeah, I mean, you have, it was mentioned, I think, when we discussed it with Sam last week. I think it was last week when Sam mentioned about the nest of tables and the burner. So it's, that is really a bit.
Well, that was my favourite experience.
And I have not told you a damn thing either, have I? So you've come up with that on your own. So just putting that out there that you didn't even know anything about this. He didn't know. He was thinking about what can I think of that I'm going to do a whole topic on, because he thought he was going to be talking just randomly to you guys tonight. He didn't even know that it was just about him.
Yeah, she texted me when I was at work and she just said, "Oh, it's your turn tonight. You're doing the live." So I had no idea what to expect. I thought that you weren't gonna be in it. I thought that it was me. So I thought I was gonna have to sit in front of the camera and start talking about spiritual topics. And then I got home and she said, "No, you pleb, Wayne's interviewing you." I said, "Oh, okay, that makes more sense."
It's Michael Aspels of This Is Your Life.
Yeah.
I just don't have.
Damn. I don't have my book. I was going to give you a book then.
For what?
This is your life. I'll give you a book at the end.
The only thing I've got to hand at this precise moment in time is my rapid antigen test kit for COVID-19. So,
this is your life.
Yeah.
A fries raspberry cream. That's just about all I can do at the moment, I'm afraid.
That's fine.
Right. Okay. So we have. Nicola has asked, "Have you ever been touched by a spirit?"
Only once. It was a one-night thing, and we parted ways and never spoke of it again.
I was going to think of a witty answer, and it was involving a shot of vodka that got tipped over my head. That was the only time I ever got touched by a spirit.
Do you know what? Again, I can't. Actually, no, I can say it for certain. Sod it, I can say it for certain. What's that place? Horton House.
Horton House. Yeah, you definitely had something there.
Sam and I were doing. I actually think it was in the very, very early days of Truth Beyond Paranormal. I think
It was the third episode that we ever did.
it was the third episode. We went to Horton House,
Right.
and we're all going our separate ways. And it's got like loads of not tunnels, like doorways. The place is just it's a ruin, and
Yep.
I'm walking through these ruins. I feel something watching me, and then I felt something go into my jacket pocket and pull on it. Do you know, I'm doing all of these actions with my hands, and the camera can't see it. I'm standing up, so I felt something go into my pocket and then pull it from the inside.
You will not allow me to
No.
have this, will you?
I want my goddamn pillow. This is my pillow. For everyone watching, this is my pillow. I'm never without it. But yeah, I think that was the first and only time that I'm convinced I was ever touched by something otherworldly.
Yeah. Okay. That's
Freaked
pretty
me
cool.
the hell out.
I'll be honest. I mean, I never got to experience Horton House, so I sort of missed out on that one. Right.
We'll have to
So
go there again. It is very haunted.
evening,
there.
Reg.
Hey,
Reg
Reg.
has asked, where do you think heaven is?
Next to me.
Oh, and then he looks the other way. It's like, no, not you.
Oh, I know. I'm so soppy.
Oh, where's the bucket?
Well, I don't really think there's a heaven that can actually, like, look at my fringe right now. I can't even cut my own hair. Damn.
Yes, that's the cool thing that everyone looks for. A girl who can cut her own hair. Oh yeah. Anyway, well, I don't believe that it's hiding beyond the clouds, Reg. I'm genuinely not even sure there is a heaven. But my belief, I'm not sure if there is a heaven or a hell. I think that those are both constructs that were made up to try and get people to act in a certain way. I mean, the idea of teaching, if you're really good, you'll go to this place made of fluffy clouds and ice cream and marshmallows, and you'll be happy for all eternity. No reason why. There's no internet there. You're just going to be happy. And if you're bad, then you will go to hell, where it's fire and brimstone and torture and whipping and these big scary monsters that come and stamp on your toes all the time. Yeah, right. I don't think there is a heaven and a hell. I think that our souls do ascend to a different plane of existence. I'm not even sure how I believe on how or if our soul is judged, if we do go to a good place and a bad place. I mean, there is actual proof that souls have re-entered the world, and kids have memories of their past life. A video that Sam and I were watching on YouTube the other night. I'll try and find a link for us to put in the description on YouTube on Facebook. This kid kept on growing up, and he called himself, who cares? Let's say Natalie. He would always talk about Natalie, and when he got to about the age of 7, his mum asked her, him, who's Natalie? And the kid answered, that was me when I was last here. Yeah. And he gave these really descriptions, these really vivid descriptions right. of where he used to go, where he used to work when he was her, where he used to live, and even described when she died, which was how, which was falling out of a window. And they got in touch with the Records House, or whatever it's called, in Chicago, where he apparently lived as this woman, Natalie. And it turns out that 3 years prior to his birth, there was a block of apartments in America that caught fire. And a young woman called Natalie, who was in her 30s, jumped out of her third-story window and died instantly. And when they showed the kid a picture, he pointed and said it was her. That's what I used to look like. So I think that there is proof to a degree that a human soul is reincarnated, but we never carry any of our memories apart from the exceptional few like this child. So I don't think that our souls are even judged. I think we're just wiped clean and back.
So basically, you're going with not a cough. The Buddhist side of things is that the reincarnation, the human soul resets itself and starts again afresh in a new physical form.
Yeah, I sway more towards that kind of theory. Yeah. I've actually got my entirely own theory on God and the universe and everything. We won't get into that tonight, otherwise we'll be here until 3.
Yeah,
no, it
won't.
I mean, it's very similar. What you're saying about the boy with the previous life of Natalie is supposedly what a medium had said to me about my old property. My previous life, my name was Michael Bloomfield, and I died on the beaches of Dunkirk. And Joanna, who's the spirit that's attached to me, is supposed to have been my wife from that previous marriage. So I swayed more that way as well, simply because it seems to me that it's more of a plausible reason rather than the old heaven and hell. So, evening, Sarah. First comment from Sarah there. Do you think thought forms are possible?
If by thought forms you mean astral projection, yeah, I do think they're possible. And it's something that I've tried to dabble with myself. I don't think I've ever been successful in achieving that level of astral projection where my soul can walk outside of my body, but I've definitely been able to focus whereby I can see further than I can actually see. Like I can see into different rooms, sort of thing. It takes a monumental amount of energy and focus, and I haven't been able to do it all that often throughout my life. But yeah, I do think that thought forms, if you mean astral projection, are possible.
Yeah, and I mean, I actually, astral projection, I find is quite an interesting subject in a sense, simply because obviously when we sleep, our body shuts down and only the essential organs are left running. So in a sense, we're recharging our batteries. So could it be that the spirit or your soul can leave your body, so it allows the body to recharge itself a little bit quicker? And that could be the reason why a lot of people will wake up and go, my God, that dream felt so real.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I'm quite fortunate. I've always dreamt. I only found out over the last few years through Sam actually that there are some people that close their eyes, go to sleep, but they don't see anything. They just sleep. I've always dreamt, and Sam is under the belief that that I travel, whether it's to different planes or different dimensions. I'm not sure, but it was after she said it that I thought about it, and she might well be right, because when I go to some of these places, I've been there multiple times, and I'll when I'm there, I even remember the last time that I had been there, or when I come back to and I wake up, it'll stick with me. I won't forget my dreams. They'll stick with me, and I remember them. But what's weirdest of all is I very often wake up a lot more tired than when I went to sleep. And my dreams are usually quite active, which is what led Sam to believe, well, maybe you're not sleeping at all. Maybe your body is sleeping, but your mind, your soul is going for a walkabout, which is why when you come back and you open your eyes in this world, you feel knackered.
Yeah, because your physical, but the brain is thinking elsewhere. Your brain is working overtime, and that's obviously partly why you feel drained when you wake up. I mean, they all stand there and say, "Oh, it's because you've overslept, or you haven't slept enough." Is the reason why you wake up still tired. But there could be something else in that regards to it's what your brain thinks of while you're asleep.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a bit of a weird one. But when I first read that message, I thought, could they mean thinking something's there? Like you I don't know, you drink too much or whatever, and you create the illusion yourself. And I think I meant astral projection.
If that is what Sarah meant, then I actually think that is possible as well. The human mind is the most amazing thing in the known world. I mean, we only use between 8 and 12% of our total brain capacity. There's no one that knows the full potential of the human mind.
No.
But I think that particularly whilst you're under the influence of alcohol or psychedelic drugs or something like that, it is quite possible that your subconscious leaks things that you think you want to see or that you think you've seen before, or brings up past memories, and can even bring about a certain sense of paranoia in some cases, which makes you think that a dark spot on the wall is a face looking back at you. So if that's what you meant, Sarah, then yeah, I think that is quite possible as well.
Okay.
Right. Ellen says, do you think, or do you believe deceased family members are always with you and give you signs that they are about?
I think that a family member's soul or spirit after death can linger in our world, or in a world in between, where they still can have a certain degree of influence in our physical world. And I think that they can give you signs as to them being there. I don't think they're always with you. I think that in a lot of cases, particularly for mothers or grandmothers even, I think that their maternal instinct and their love for you will keep them here to guide you where they think you need to go, or to try and make sure that you're safe. But once they know that you're safe, I think that probably be when they move on.
Yeah, in a way, it sort of could link with the Buddhist belief and what a lot of people believe about, coming back in another form. Like you say, a loved one passes, and you feel their presence around for a substantial amount of time. And it could be that, in a sense, they're waiting at the bus stop, and all they're doing is checking on you to make sure you're okay. Once they find out you're okay, the bus arrives and they go on to the next life. Which, again, most of it's all theories. Could this be? And unless we actually get definitive proof, we're always going to be asking those questions.
Well, do you know, I think the annoying thing is, even if one person gets definitive proof, I don't think it would even be possible to gather enough physical evidence to say for certain this is how life works, or this is how life, death, and the afterlife work. Because in order to do that, someone would have to go to life, see what it's all about, get reincarnated with all of their past life's memories, grow up, find the person that they started the experiment with, and say, John, you don't recognize me, but it's Mitchell. It worked. You won't believe the crazy shite that I've just seen.
Yeah, like Toad in the Hole. Right, anyway. Frog in the bog.
Frog in the bog.
Do you feel it's different for people who work with healing energy in what we see and feel? As I have so many personal experiences.
Yeah, I do. And do you know what? A lot of these questions, they seem like they seem like simple questions, but there's so much that can be tapped into and talked about. I think it was three or 4 years ago, science, not religion and not spiritualist, science actually discovered two things. The first is that when someone dies, they lose exactly 0.46 pounds. And they did this experiment many times over. They're not 100% sure, but they think that 0.46 pounds, which, by the way, includes after the body has released whatever it needs to release at time of death.
Oh, I was going to say going to the toilet.
Yeah.
Well, mate, even then, releasing exactly 0.46 pounds of crap for every single dead person, that's uncanny. But no, they discovered that every body, like human body, loses 0.46 pounds, which they theorize could be the weight of a human soul leaving the body. Yep. I'm not sure how I feel about that one. They also discovered that the heart, when it beats, releases an electromagnetic pulse, which science is calling the human aura. So a lot of spiritualists talk about auras and different colors and such, and it's common knowledge that around all of our bodies, being carbon-based life forms, we have a very, very tight electromagnetic field around us. And I think that people with certain gifts or abilities, like those who are able to perform Reiki, heal people through with the form of energy, or people who can use their chi. I think in certain cultures in China,
that guy, didn't we, where he used the chi to like manifest fire.
That's what I'm talking about. So in certain cultures, particularly in the Far East, it's believed that people can control this energy, and they call it chi. So yeah, I do believe that people with certain gifts and abilities can manipulate their energy on a higher frequency than those who don't have these abilities. And I think that by using that energy, it can also bring about a counter effect, which enables them to become more sensitive to other energies, not necessarily on this plane.
Yeah. Yeah, I know what you're talking about when it comes to chi. I mean, studying kung fu for about 20 odd years, it's not just about physical contact. It's also about the spiritual side of things, and learning about your inner chi and the power that you have within. So it's things like the ability to be able to sort of numb or dull out pain completely by stopping the electrical signals getting from the injured part of your body to your brain, which registers that pain. And to be able to do things, I mean, you see it when like the Shaolin monks, in China, they're in connection with their chi. And that enables them to do some unbelievable things, like bending spears with the spearhead in their necks. Normally, if any normal person would have done that, they would have put it through in one side of the neck and out the other. So I think there is something in that, but it's a weird thing. I mean, I do a form of Tai Chi, and I can't really remember the name of it, but I just basically call it balloon squatting, and it's based on balloon squatting. I can't remember the full Chinese name, but you basically have to stand in a certain stance as if you've got a balloon between. You have your feet at level with your shoulders, and you imagine you've got a balloon between your knees to create that space, and you're actually bobbing down on a balloon, and you have to stand there and hold the balloon like that. And when you first start doing it, you do it for a couple of minutes, and then you can increase it the more you do. And it gets to a stage where after a couple of minutes, your calf muscles start to hurt and your back starts to hurt. Then you stop. And then the more you do it, the more you get used to it. And then after a while, you can stand there for about an hour without getting any pain or anything like that. And it's a form of meditation. And it is unbelievable. I've studied it for quite a number of years. Haven't recently practiced it, but I'm going to start doing it. So but it does just go to, I personally think there is an inner power there that helps control things. Right.
Yeah, I definitely believe that.
It's wicked stuff, and the feeling you get when you're finished, it's amazing. I love doing that, so I think I'm going to start doing that again. I think soon, once the warm weather gets here. Right, yeah. Nicola says, "What's the best equipment you ever used on an investigation?"
I'm going to get, do you know what? I'm going to give two answers. The first one is really cheesy. I don't think that there is any better equipment to use on an investigation than yourself. To trust in your own feelings and the surroundings and sort of feeling what's there. Sometimes you walk into a place and you can tell that there is something there, and you just need to go with that instinct and do what you can to search for it, or not necessarily provoke it, but sort of coax it into manifesting itself in one way or another. The second answer, if you're talking about actual equipment that investigators use, I really quite like certain spirit boxes.
Yeah.
Because, do you know what? There's no solid answer there. I like I like the spirit boxes. They're my favorite because when it works, it's really creepy, but it's almost hard to debunk it. Like with a K2 meter, it's accurate because you know what a K2 meter does. It's supposed to go off when there's a fluctuation in electromagnetic fields. But with a spirit box, if you get a message, if you ask a question like how did you die, and it comes back saying fire, and you know for a fact that there was a horrible fire at the location you're investigating that happened 10 years ago and a bunch of people died, it's kind of hard to debunk that because you think, well, why else would it have given me that answer? It's searching through all of the radio frequencies, but is it more likely that I just happened to go across a sequency where the presenter or the announcer was saying fire at the time that I asked that question?
Yeah. So I think on a lot of things with spirit boxes and these word apps that you can get, I think a lot of it is it's a bit labor intensive, really, in a way, because you've got to have someone keeping an eye on the spirit box and an ear, and then writing down what the spirit box has stated, because then you've got to find what the word has been said has got to coincide with the location. And I think then that's when you have to look at it and go, right, okay, well, yeah, that came through and this is what happened here. So it can't, if it happens once, then you could go, well, maybe that's coincidence. But when you get it more than once, you think, well, hang on a minute, I've got these words have all come out, all in relation to this place, and has come through on this through various radio stations throughout the wavelength. There's got to be something in that. And I've experienced that in Colchester Castle, where we've had about 10 words come through on a spirit box in one session. And every word that came through coincided with that exact location in Colchester Castle. And when you're running through dozens of channels, it sort of gives a bit more proof than anything else. Just quickly, Reg, no problem. After the live, if you send me a message, I'll help you out. And Koo, if you send me a private message, I can give you a little bit of info about the Tai Chi side of things. And then we have, right, can you, God blimey, my eyes are going funny. Can you smell spirit? It's perfume, is it perfume, sulfur, fire, etc. when you're on investigations?
Short answer, yes. The explanation to that is we've talked a lot tonight about spirits or souls being on different planes of existence, but being able to interact with our world. And I believe, this is my theory, I believe that a spirit will be able to manipulate our world in such ways whereby it can stimulate our senses. I can't give you an answer of how they do it. I promise you that when I die and I'm in between worlds, I will make someone smell something and somehow tell them it's me. But yeah, I think you can smell fire or perfume, or a common one is cigars. Like if your father or something passed away, it's common that you would smell cigars, like what they used to smoke. So yeah,
Yep.
Short answer two is yes.
Yeah, I think we have it. We have it here every now and then. We get the smell of Ellen's Nan's perfume, and unfortunately, Ellen's Nan never got to come round here and see the house. So we don't have anything here that smells of a Nan's perfume. Yet every once in a while, we've had that smell come through, and we're like, never smelled that before. So it's a bit of a strange. A bit of a strange experience to have a smell come through that you wouldn't normally have there.
Well, it's like I said. I think the spirits manipulate our senses to try and get us to know that they're there. The most common one is sound to affect our ears, possibly because it's almost the surest one that's going to work other than sight. An example is when occasionally I'll go with my mother to visit our grandfather, my grandfather.
Wow, that took a deep turn.
Yeah, that was almost a very weird conversation.
It was.
So I'll go with my mum to visit my grandfather. Now, my grandfather lost a leg in the Second World War.
Just lost it.
He
just lost it.
He hasn't found it yet. He's been looking, but he ain't found it.
Well, do you know what? I actually think
it might have been him in the basement when I just heard the one footstep.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. But it's funny you say that because twice now I've heard walking, but it's walking how he used to walk. He used to have a prosthetic leg made out of tin. Yeah. And instead of walking, I'm not sure if you can hear this, but instead of walking like we all do, it was almost like a trot. He would sort of go,
yeah,
and a couple of times when I've been at the graveyard, I've heard walking. There's sort of like these stones along the path where my grandfather's buried, and I'll hear that sound coming from the stones in the path when my mother and I are the only ones there. And the second time it happened, I thought to myself, maybe my grandfather is actually here. And then I thought to myself, Christ, what are you doing? This must be so boring. Move on already. But his choice.
Yeah. Okay. Well, all questions are drying up from viewers. So I'm going to ask, what has been your favourite TBP location?
Do you know what? You're going to have to help me out with the name of this one. Remember that night, me, you, Jason, Sam, Ellen, and I think that Kim, I think, came along to that one. It wasn't really an investigation. We met up and we went on a bit of a drive, and we stopped off. I think it was the night that we went to see Sam. What was that location that we were going to go see by the water, and then afterwards we drove off. We came to see you, Wayne.
Wasn't that?
You proved yourself.
I know what you mean.
We went there, and Wayne, you started telling stories about a Roman soldier that's sometimes seen there.
Oh, that was last year when we were over at Mersey Island.
Mersey Island, that's it. Yeah. Don't ask me why. I know it's really weird because I was gonna go for I'm not gonna lie. I can't remember a single name of the places that we've been to. But
Harwich
Redoubt Fort.
Yeah, I was gonna say that because that low buzzing tone, that was just weird. But I don't know.
No. You're talking about Ruffham, the low buzzing sound.
Yeah, I was going to say that just purely based on what we experienced there, but for some reason, my favourite location was where you just said. Yeah, I'm crap with names. Sorry,
Mersey Island.
Mersey Island. That there was an energy in that place that was really quite sensational, and I would love to go back there maybe during the summer and see if we can actually find anything. I don't know what. Oh no, I'm changing my answer. Sorry, my favorite location. My favorite location was the Red Lion pub.
Right.
The Red Lion Hotel. That was a really fun night.
Yeah.
And the stuff that we experienced down in the basement with those lights that we could see on the screen.
Yeah,
and they kept on moving and evolving, and the sounds in the wine cellar, and the stuff that happened in the bar, that was pretty cool. Yeah, I quite enjoyed that night.
To be honest, as well, I think Red Lion, the Red Lion investigation, I think what made that more special was the fact that because of lockdown, most of the I say because of the lockdown at the time, it wasn't lockdown; it was still in the tier system. But because of the tier system, a lot of the pubs and clubs shut early. And so I can't remember, I think it was about 10:30, 11 o'clock, didn't they? The police went down the entire high street, moved everybody out. So after that time, it was completely quiet. It was as dead as a dodo, which somewhere like the Red Lion Hotel at the weekend during normal times is almost impossible to investigate in. It makes it so difficult, but because of that situation, it was perfect for us, simply because there was no noise, and to get the sounds we were getting in the basement along with the lights as well, it made all that difference, and it just made that the Red Lion such a privilege to investigate because we knew we could count out any outside interference.
That was a spectacular evening. I'll tell you what really made it for me. Out of all the investigations that we've done so far, all the experiences that we've had, the bonding that we've had as a team, and the stuff that we've seen and heard, what really made that night for me was the McDonald's. That was something different. That was the first McDonald's I'd had in like 2 years. It was spectacular, on point.
Especially as it was from Colchester High Street McDonald's as well.
They really know how to do a business.
Do you know what? It's getting quite off-putting because I can hear Sam typing on the keyboard, and then I'm getting the message coming up on my screen.
Yeah, sorry.
Anyway, Koo says,
I'm shutting that down now. Trying to help Kim.
Yeah, I mean the only thing Kim can do is literally come out of it and then come back in again. I think she had a few issues with her internet because she couldn't even find Haunted Roses.
That's what I
said. Right, Koo says, have you been up north or do you just work down south? I think any one of us can answer that one, but I'll let you, Marcus, because tonight it's all about you.
Yeah. All right. Well, we did go to the North Pole once. No, obviously I'm joking. We
Yeah, it was very
would
cold.
stick to them. It was, yeah, freezing. Santa Claus did exist. We did find his spirit. He is not as jolly as you think.
Yeah, I think.
No,
I think
we
he was a bit annoyed with us.
TBP up until now. Yeah, a little bit. Well, I didn't know. I didn't know it was an elf I was stepping on. No, TBP so far has stuck to investigating the south of the country because of the type of organisation we are, the type of team we are. We're completely self-funded. So all of us have jobs and lives and responsibilities. So finding the time to and the money to get ourselves up to a northern location or stay overnight anywhere, and finding the time where all of us can actually do it, it can be a bit of a struggle. But I think that we as a team do aspire to go to more places, not just in the south, but cover the whole of the UK, and possibly even in the future do a couple of trips abroad.
Yeah, I mean that's always something we've aspired to want to do, isn't it? We obviously when we first started doing TBP, because we had different team members from different areas in the south and southeast, that we sort of wanted to sort of keep it sort of medium for everybody to be able to get to, didn't we? But obviously in the future we're hoping that we can go a bit further afield and advance from there. I mean, I'd love to be able to go up to Scotland and do places up there, preferably places that aren't really that well heard of, even though we've got one location we can do already. But like you say, it's getting up there, isn't it? And getting the time away from everything to be able to do it, which it makes it a bit difficult in circumstances, doesn't it? So, but
yeah,
in answer to that, Koo, we will eventually head further north. It's just that obviously with time constraints and the financial side of things, once we've, maybe we'll all just sort of stick some pennies to one side, and then when we've got enough to sort of organise a mass immigration up to say Liverpool or Blackpool or somewhere like that, then obviously it's a lot easier to do then.
Do you know what? One place I'd love to investigate. Sam and I have been there on holiday a couple of times. I would absolutely love to find some locations in Edinburgh.
Yeah,
the city is beautiful, but it's half of it at least is also extremely old, and they've got these like catacombs that go underground. They've got the castles. Really beautiful place, and yeah, the graveyard was creepy.
Like, it's small, but it's got enough.
I'd really love to do an investigation in Edinburgh, I think.
I mean, I like to investigate places that haven't been investigated before. We know for a fact that at the moment, in the database there is for haunted locations, there's around 10,000 locations in the UK that are haunted.
Mm.
So, not doesn't matter which TV show or which group there is out there, not one of them has covered all 10,000. So I would love to be able to go to locations that haven't been investigated before, that we know are haunted. But I mean, so places like Edinburgh, I mean, you go on Facebook and you can see all these groups. They've done Edinburgh Vaults and Mary Close or whatever it's called. And you think, loads of people do that. Loads of groups have gone there. The TV shows have gone there. I personally would like to find this little area in Edinburgh where no one has investigated ever before, and be able to turn around and say, well, we're going to be investigating here. And people will go, wow, Edinburgh, but I've never heard of that place. And then actually get results from it.
Yeah, that would be really cool.
One of the hotels in Edinburgh would be really good.
Yeah, well, I think so. You and I did.
Ones that we've never.
You and I did the vault once, didn't we?
Yeah, we did, and it was correct.
Yeah, we went on we
It's
went
very,
on a.
very. Oh, go on. Sorry.
No, I was going to say Sam and I had it was an actual tour with like a couple of guides and this little a little group, and we did a tour of the vault. It only lasted like 20 minutes. I'm not sure what they were expecting, and they sort of gave us the history and a rundown. Bugger all happened, but I'd love to investigate it over a long period of time, just us in a little group, and see if we can see or feel anything. That'd be cool.
I don't think we're going to get much of a live feed out of that, though.
No, probably not.
Reception will go.
Yeah, they'll just die.
I'll just bring a camcorder.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you can still record it on your mobile phones and then just say it's an almost live feed. But you know, somewhere like the vaults, you're not going to get a live feed reception out of it, and they're probably going to ask quite a hefty price for. So I think it would be nice to be able to sort of say, you know, can we investigate this place that hasn't been investigated before? It is alleged as haunted, and if they say yeah, then we've just put a place on the map as such. And it would be very similar to the Red Lion Hotel. No one's actually been able to do an episode from the Red Lion simply because of the noise pollution outside. And as far as I'm aware, we're the first people to actually film and do a live episode from the Red Lion Hotel in Colchester, simply because of the situation at the time. If it wasn't for that, we would never have been able to have filmed an episode because there'd have been too much interference. So we've been very lucky to get what we got.
Yeah, we're privileged.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Very much so.
Yeah, that was
so. Just got to adjust myself. What would be on your paranormal bucket list? And give us the top 3 on your paranormal bucket list of places that you would love to go and visit. And it can be anywhere in the world.
Oh, wow. The Gulf of Mexico. Why? Well, what? I might be wrong, but the Gulf of Mexico, wasn't that supposedly where that artifact was buried? The spear that stabbed Jesus Christ.
The Spear of Destiny.
Yeah, that one. The one that Jack Black plays guitar with. I'd love to go to the Gulf of Mexico because, simply because of that. Anything that has a big religious background.
Yeah.
I would love to see if I find anything there.
Well, to be honest, if you look on Wish, I think you'll find quite a few Spear of Destinies on there, going for various prices. Even the Ark of the Covenant's on there.
Oh, well, in that case, forget the Gulf of Mexico. I'll just buy one and bring it here, and I'll do the investigation here.
Because I was tempted to buy one. I was tempted to buy an Ark of the Covenant the other day, £18, complete with the stone tablets that go inside it.
Bez. I think the second place would be where's that guy? Sort of in the Middle East, sort of like Jordan sort of area, Lebanon kind of area. I've watched various paranormal channels on YouTube with independent investigators, and the things that they see or capture are quite scary but phenomenal. Like, there seems to be a lot of energy that can manifest itself over in that part of the world.
Yeah, I've seen a few of those the videos that they've popped up every now and then on TikTok and YouTube, and sometimes on the Facebook pages, and some of them just seem, you know, no disrespect to any paranormal teams or shows out there, but when you've got the likes of say, for instance, Zach Baggins, and people would say, oh, he's overreacting and all this. When I see these ones and they're walking in an abandoned house, and just sort of briefly you see this child standing in the background, and then as he starts walking towards it, it disappears, And then he walks into the room, and I'm thinking, okay, so yet again, we have an apparition that has appeared, a full manifestation has appeared in front of the camera and hasn't made world news. That sets alarm bells ringing.
It does, but you know, I've watched so many of them, and they can't all be in cahoots. I mean, it's not just Jordan and Lebanon; like it's all over the Middle East. I think there was one in either Iran or Iraq,
Yeah, there's a few
where he had a similar experience. It was just very weird. And do you know what? Another place in the world that has that is Korea. Korea always gets these like shadow people where you'll sort of see if the door's here, this shadow will just go like that and then go back again.
Yeah.
And I always try to bear in mind that England, as historical as it is only a very, very, very small island on the planet. So it's not surprising that some of these other countries, which are anywhere between sort of 3 to 50 times the size of this island, they can capture this stuff. There's more energy, there's more spirit where they are.
There was also the fact is the age of them countries. You know, you go down into Asia and into Africa, the civilized countries that are there, the civilization actually goes back a lot further than we do here. You know, obviously Africa is supposedly the cradle of life, so that would be where civilization started. So obviously the closer to Africa you go, the older technically these countries and civilizations that live there are going to be. So I think that you're right. The fact that the countries are bigger, but there's also a lot more history there as well.
Yeah.
So I just think when I see them, I just think, yeah, right, okay. You know, it seems to be the same old script. You know, he goes into an abandoned building and there's something there, and he goes, "Oh, Allahu Akbar," and then runs out again. You know, and a lot of them all seem to point in that direction all the time. And I just think, you know, when you've seen one, you've seen them all.
Yeah, no, I do agree with that, but it's one of the reasons I want to go there. I've seen all of this stuff, but I don't want to go there just because I think there's lots of ghosts there. I've seen that a lot of other investigators have got this stuff, and I'm curious to find out, is it actually there?
Yeah.
Because the worst that happens is you get a holiday out of it in a place you've never been before, and it turns out there's nothing there, but you've had an interesting time. The best thing that can happen is it turns out that everything that you've seen is legit, and you end up getting one hell of an investigation with these shadow people and disembodied noises. And obviously we're going to have a tour guide that knows the prayers, because I don't think I could do it without them.
Yeah.
Not because I'm religious, because it's just really quite funny to watch.
Yeah, I mean, in a sense, I mean, I've had that before, and I go to Corfu every once in a while because I've got family over there. But in Corfu town itself, they've got 2 forts. Now they've got a new fort which was run by the Venetians and the British before the Greeks had it back, and that's right in Corfu town centre. But they've got the new fort is in the town. The old fort is on the outskirts of the town, but the old fort actually looks newer than the new fort, and all it is an old castle ruins, really, as such, on a hill in Corfu town, and it's all been sort of fairly looked after recently, because obviously tourists go in there. But when you go into the tunnels that lie underneath, there is just this really bizarre, strange feeling the second you walk in there. And these tunnels go on for ages. And I think I've been in there 2-3 times now. And that actually spawned one of my spookanories out of it, simply because of the way it made me feel. But then when you go into the old fort, which is in the harbour in Corfu town, although it's in the old style, it it just looks completely different, and it looks so modern as such. It looks like it's been renewed, whereas the new fort they just ain't done nothing with. But you certainly do get really strange feelings in there. It's bizarre. Right,
You know what?
so
The third and final place that I'd like to go to is Japan.
not the forest by any chance, would it be?
Not the what?
The forest.
Well, do you know what? I haven't pinpointed location yet. Just I absolutely love the Japanese culture, and they're big believers in spirits and deities, and
Yep.
supposedly a lot of stuff goes on there. And you know, the other thing that I really love about the idea of doing a paranormal investigation across Japan is the country seems to keep to itself a lot.
Yeah.
And that piques my curiosity, because you see all of these paranormal investigators who come from Iraq and Iran and Jordan and Lebanon and England and the USA, all over the USA, Korea, China. I've even seen a couple of like native African countries.
Yeah.
But very, very little comes out of Japan.
Yeah,
And
they seem to be very, very sort of shy in sort of coming out with things from there, don't they? Regards to the spirit world. I mean, I've got a friend, Irene Takura. I think she's been on here a couple of times in the past. She lives in Japan, and she's very much into the paranormal. And you know, you're right. It's just they seem to sort of shy away from the subject, or not want to make it as public. You know, we all know the history of the Japanese. We all know the legends of the Japanese, the same as we know of legends of most of the other big popular countries that we know of. But when it comes to the spirit world, I think the only thing we sort of tend to get out of Japan is their spirit stories, you know, which spawned things like films like The Ring, you know, from a Japanese ghost story.
Which, by the way, the film The Ring, I often fantasize about what would I do in that situation, and I can't believe they didn't think of it. You get the TV, you lie it down, screen down on the floor. Problem solved.
Yeah, try calling out now.
Or you wait until she's halfway out, and then you turn the telly off.
Yeah, chop her in half.
Yeah. Then she's buggered.
Case closed. But there is also the haunted forest. I can't remember the name of it now, but there's a forest there where people have alleged to have gone there and committed suicide, or they've gone in there, have got lost and never found their way out.
I think they made a film of it. We watched it. Remember?
Yeah, they did. There was a film about it. It's a very, very foreboding and unforgiving place, but it has got its ghost stories about it, and they claim that that's the reason why people have got lost in there and have never come out again. And people are told to stick to the paths or stick to the signs that point them in the right direction, and they never seem to manage to do it. So it is a very strange one.
I think the forest is called Aokigahara.
That's it.
Yeah,
which is also known as Sea of Trees. Sorry, yeah, we're just doing a bit of Wikipedia. Yeah,
good old wiki.
It's one of those. That's one of those places that, as a paranormal enthusiast, I would absolutely love to go there. But hearing the stories about it, every part of my common sense is saying, no, don't do that. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I think the problem is that because like a lot of countries, Japanese are very superstitious, and I also think that obviously stories of things that happen are passed down through generations. They're written down in folklore, and as a result, they sort of install fear, like you said at the beginning when we were saying about good and bad, and the fact that religion being a way of conformity for the follower. You know, follow these rules, you'll go to heaven. Don't follow these rules, you'll go to hell. And I think with these Japanese folklore tales, they were actually designed in a sense to start off with originally was don't go into those woods because if you get lost, you ain't coming out.
Yeah.
Simple. There was a simple reason to it. But then over the years, more people had gone in and got lost, or they'd never, they succumbed to the elements and things like that, and they died in there. And then it turns into this ghost story. You don't want to go in there because so and so went in there and died, and their ghost is walking around, and it gets interjected into the story, and it becomes myth and legend. And then you get typical, Western society catch hold of that story, turn it into a film or a ghost story, and it just makes matters worse. Then everybody in the world thinks that place is haunted, and then you feel very apprehensive about going there. And I think that's what sort of creates that air of mystery about a place, and I think that's what attracts people to it.
Yeah, it's sort of two sides of the same coin. Everyone wants to go there because of the stories, but no one wants to go there because of the stories.
Yeah. I think if you were to if you could click your fingers and magically everybody forgets the stories of the place, people would go there just like it's any normal woodland round the corner.
Yeah.
I think it's just because of the stories that have put that fear into people. It's a bit like the Island of Dolls, where someone's gone in there and hung dolls up from the tree and they're all grubby and scrappy looking. And people go, oh, that's horrible, that is. I don't think I'd want to go there. Why? They're only plastic dolls. It's just the story behind the dolls that has actually made people more fearful of going there. But I could do that. I could hang a load of dolls from the tree in my back garden and go, oh, that doll's haunted, that doll's haunted, that doll's haunted. Don't go in my back garden because you'll get scared to death.
Well, do you know, it's funny. We talked about a lot of things tonight to do with manifestation, spirits, how they interact, and the sort of energy that they use to manifest in our world. I actually, sorry, I actually quite believe that when we give out energy in the form of like a negative story, a little bit like the what's it called? Something Universal
Credit.
Studio. My mind is drawn completely blank. When you believe something and then you bring it into being.
Yeah.
You know what, Sam? Yeah. What's the power of positive thinking? What's it called? Law of attraction. Bang. There we go. That's why I married her. So I think that using the law of attraction, but in a slightly more negative way, if so many people believe the stories and they believe that there's a darkness, there's an evil energy there, eventually that universal energy that's created the dark thoughts, I think that it can manifest.
Well, I mean, again, we sort of go by theories, don't we? It's can human emotions or the human psyche actually manifest something in those locations? When we say we're saying by that side of things, and we're saying by the fact that a story can be told so many times that eventually so many people believe it that it becomes true.
Yeah, I mean, I'm under the belief that humans have the power to do that.
And it's, in a sense, if whether you believe in the Bible or not, or whether you believe in God or not, when you look at the Bible is supposed to be classed as the book of Jesus's life, or the book of creation. You know, you got Genesis, and then you go Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, and all the different books of the Bible, and including the ones that have not been included in the modern day Bible, the ones that are still locked away in the Vatican vaults. You know, a lot of people will believe that is the God honest truth. That is how the earth was created. That's how humankind was created, and so on and so forth. And does it necessarily have to be true? You know, we're going by the Dead Sea Scrolls that are written in an ancient language that can't be translated easily, just the same as Nostradamus's predictions cannot be translated 100% accurate, because of the language from ancient Italian into modern English is so hard to decipher that one thing that he said could actually mean something completely different. And so when you look at the likes of the Bible, how much of that could you class as accurate, as true? Because it's been sold so many times, translated so many times, and typical Chinese whispers, the story itself changes over the years. And then it then becomes real to the people that follow the Bible. So you could have that same sort of situation as you do with, say, the Japanese forest, you know, where so many people have heard it so many times in so many different formats, but the basics are the same, that they believe it, and therefore it's true, just the same as the Bible. And again, like we say, it all goes around by theories and possibilities. You know, you could discuss it until the world comes to an end, you know, until the theories are proved. And like we say, theories are there to be proved. And when you look, and I've been saying it over the last couple of weeks, that the theory between of faster than light travel, or fast as light travel, cannot be possible, as by Einstein's theory of relativity. It cannot happen. But Einstein's theory of relativity is about to get blown out of the water within the next 15 years. And they reckon that they have developed an engine that can go fast as, or faster than, the speed of light. There goes the theory of relativity in one foul swoop after, what, 80 odd years.
Elon Musk is going to be like, I'll be there in a minute.
Well, he won't be able to, because a separate team have already got onto that one. So they've already patented the engine, and they reckon the engine will be ready within the next 10 years, and tests will take place within 15. So Elon Musk has lucked out on that one.
Use the Facebook user.
So, but
Facebook user says good afternoon from the States, but I don't know who the Facebook user is.
Good evening,
afternoon, Facebook user. I just hope that isn't Elon Musk.
Yeah, could you imagine? We're like, whoops.
Hi, Reg. Glad you're back, mate. Like I said, give us a message when the live's finished, and we'll discuss things. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's all theories, aren't they? They're ifs and buts, and until the science has caught up with everything, you know, they are just going to remain theories and possibilities.
Well,
you know, we look at ghosts, and we say, well, we got no definitive proof of ghosts because no one's actually been able to capture one. All you get is media hype of so and so saw this ghost, and so saw that, and so took a picture of this. Until science has caught up to a rate where we can actually 100% confirm that we have communicated with a spirit, or we have got 100% definitive proof that there is such a thing as a spirit, they're all just going to be theories. But like we've said, that's what we're here to do, isn't it?
Well, Yeah, I mean, we've said it a few times tonight. All we've got is theories. There's never, and I don't unless an otherworldly spiritual being has enough power to physically manifest for a long period of time and speak into a camera and say, I am here, there is such a thing. I'm going to knock all of your plates out of your cupboard. And unless that happens, we're always going to be asking the question: is it really there?
Exactly, and it's like, you know, we've always, theories have always been there. Everything has always been based on a theory, and you go back. No one thought we'd be flying. No one thought we'd be able to move around on wheels and things like that. Then all it takes is for one invention that blows that all out of the water, and that theory then becomes fact, and people are out on wheels, people are flying and doing various bits and bobs. All it needs now is serious research and investigation into the paranormal properly, especially on spirit side of things, into ways of actually confirming the fact that there are spirits out there. And at the moment, I don't think there's any bit of equipment that will actually prove there are spirits out there. There's only technology and gadgets that are out there that can assist us in quite possibly detecting whether we are anywhere near close.
You spelled brethren wrong.
Oh.
Because like the issue is we have like there are different theories now that come up as to whether they are spirits or whether they are people from another dimension. And are those people in that other dimension thinking we're the spirits?
There was that one investigation that I saw a while ago, where a small team of investigators kept on going back to this place and communicating with a spirit, and they would do that by writing in chalk, and they would get a message back. And they wrote a message once saying, do you know that you are dead? And the message that they got back is, I'm not dead, you're dead.
Oh, I remember that.
Do you remember?
Yeah, that was weird.
So
no, I don't want it.
So yeah, so whether it's actually spirits that aren't aware that they've crossed over to another plane because they've ceased living on this one, they seem to be under the impression that the people that they were talking to were the ghosts.
Yeah.
Which is quite funky. You've got two teams of paranormal investigators on both sides of the veil, both thinking the other one is dead.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
there was one where they were on a Ouija board, like they were on a Ouija board and they had somebody that was asleep. Do you remember that? Where they were like dreaming and they're like, wait, am I asleep? And they asked whether they were asleep or not, and they're like through the Ouija board, they're like, what?
Yeah, am I asleep? No.
Am I dreaming or am I asleep? And he's like, am
I dreaming? I must be dreaming. Anyway. Oh, here's one. Do you think laser technology is a gateway technology that could break the interdimensional plane somehow? We don't even know the code to cracking that enigma.
Again, that's a theory, isn't it?
I do not have the mental capacity to answer that question. I don't know enough about lasers. Literally, the only thing that I can refer to in this question is Stargate.
wow, that went well.
So,
well, I mean, at the moment, things like interdimensional travel is something very similar to with the Stargate theory. It's bending space and time, and cross-dimensional travel would work on the same principle. You know, if you take a piece of paper and fold it in half, you've got point A on one side, point B on the other, fold it in half. There's your quickest route from point A to point B. You've sort of passed all of that rubbish and just gone from A to B in shorter time. it's possible. But the science needs to back up the theories, and the theories need to back up the science. And I think we're a long way off yet of developing that sort of science that will be able to do it. But the theories now are coming out. So it may not be long. Within the next 20 years, they may have something that might actually detect another dimension. It's just a case of the technology's got to catch up with it. And I think we're still quite away from it.
Yeah, although we never know what the world government's keeping behind closed doors. They may have already developed it, we just don't know about it.
Yeah, and the thing is with things like that, we'll always go around theories, and I think that is basically the be all and end all of everything. Everything's all based on a theory to start off with until someone actually discovers it, and then it stops becoming a theory and becomes a fact. So yeah, I think something like the Stargate side of things, it's quite possible. It's just taking its time.
Yeah, well, like most things, this is going to be such a boring comment, but everything is impossible until proven possible.
Yep, exactly. I mean, I noticed an article today. Obviously, we had Concorde that could get from London to New York in, what was it, 4.5 hours? It was something like that, wasn't it?
Like that.
There is an aircraft being developed that will be able to get from London Heathrow to New York City in under an hour, traveling at something like 1,100 kilometers per hour. That's Mach 4 plus, and no one would have thought that would have been possible. So that would have just been classed as a theory, but orders are already being taken for those planes. So again, theories start somewhere, and the actual real things in real life, real time, do eventually take place. It's just the technology has to catch up with it first. It's always one step ahead. You'll get a theory, you will get the practical side of it catch up eventually once the technology catches up with it. But then by that time, you're starting on something else. So the theory and practical are always one step behind each other. I can't remember what they called the plane. I think it was AC-3 or something it was called, and they reckon that'll be developed by 2025, I think they said. So
what's this one?
So this will be the last one tonight.
We seem to base many theories on the presence or lack of matter and energy. What if that's not the right avenue? Perhaps there's an X substance or energy we haven't discovered yet, which exists, and that's the key.
Yeah.
I mean, do you know what? To me, that I said a second ago, everything is impossible until proven possible.
Yeah.
Something that doesn't exist will not exist until we find it. And yeah, I do believe that in the future there are going to be several new forms of energy which aren't going to be from minerals from the ground or from fossils. It's going to be things that are taken from other places, which will become new renewable energies.
Yeah, I mean, we've already got two of our most valuable sources of energy that we've got on this planet we don't use, and that's the sea and the sun. We don't use the sun enough, and the sea, they're not even going down that road, and they're constantly renewable sources of energy. But when you look on that side of things, and I've discussed this before on a radio show that I co-present, that you've got meteors that have an unknown substance in them. And the only reason why they're unknown is because they're not on our periodic table. Doesn't necessarily mean they're not on a periodic table in another solar system. It's just that we don't know about them. So if a meteor hits Earth and you go, right, it's got nickel, it's got copper, it's got this, it's got that, and it's got these, and then, oh, hang on a minute, we've got unknown substance A, unknown substance B. So they then research into it. They look at the substance, they look at its chemical breakdown. They go, oh, hang on a minute, we've got 2 new elements here. They're 2 new elements they hadn't discovered before, but
Because
there
they
they are in black and white. So, you know, I think there is something out there that will eventually, you know, there will eventually have something there that they'll be able to turn around and say, look, you know, you've been pissing your life away with oil and turning it into petrol and diesel and, you know, burning up all these fossil fuels when you've got all this energy that's here. But you never know whether a chemical element that arrives here that could be in abundance somewhere like the moon or on Mars that could be used to create a solar panel that would absorb so much energy from the sun that one solar panel could power a house constantly. Whereas at the moment, over here, obviously in the UK, we can have 20 solar panels on our roofs, and it would only just give us enough electricity for 14 hours. We don't use what we've got readily available enough.
No, I agree.
Greta says that I grew a beard.
She did, and it's fabulous.
Yeah, Sam grew a beard. That's because he's got Sam TBP director underneath Marcus. So.
I was going to change it to Mark or God, as you sometimes put yourself as. So I was going to put it to God, and then
It
I
should
thought,
be
no.
God. It should be God ?
Yeah, that's what you did the last time, wasn't it? God ?
Yeah.
It was so funny the way you're like, "Am I God?"
I am.
Love that. That's so you
I-
to do that.
I am actually God, and all of these questions could easily be answered. I'm just pissing about with you lot.
But
Right, do you know what? I'm going to be a bit of a killjoy. I've got a meeting at 8:30 tomorrow morning, and my day has been absolutely shattering, like I'm sure a lot of yours has.
I'm sorry to anybody that's just joined. You'll just have to go back and go through the rest of the live.
yeah, unfortunately, we've got to call it an early night tonight. So, unfortunately, Greta, you've joined us at the wrong time.
Sorry, Greta. I think renewable resources are infinitely untrapped. Untrapped.
Untapped.
Untrapped.
I think they are. But do you know what? I thoroughly enjoyed tonight, and I think I'd really look forward to doing another one.
Definitely. I mean, obviously, like we said last week, you know, the paranormal field is not just about ghosts. You know, you have cryptozoology and you have ufology as well. I don't like calling it ufology or ufology because I don't class them as UFOs. I class them as UAPs, which is the term that they're now sort of preferring to come out with. And that's a whole new ball game altogether at the moment. What with CIA releasing millions of files about UFO incidents, which is going to be quite interesting.
That'd be a good subject.
Well, I mean, like I say, you know, we're truth beyond paranormal. It's not all about ghosts. It's all about other bits and bobs as well. So, I mean, I think weekend I did about UFOs and the disclosure of UFO sightings and things like that. So that's why we wanted to go to Rendlesham Forest, because that is probably the biggest UFO sighting in the UK to history. So we've definitely got to pop in on that one, I think.
I think that'd be good and fun.
Yeah, that'd be a good one to do. That's for certain. So,
right.
Other than that,
all I'm going to say is good night to everybody, and sorry that I haven't. What the hell's that? Is that the?
That's this.
That's the side of the side of my desk. Good. So I'm sorry that I haven't been online to do some other stuff this week that we had planned, but as you guys know, I've not been feeling great, and I'm still not feeling great, which is why I've got this lovely thing attached to me. So I am just going to see how I feel and try and get myself better ready for next week as well. So I will hopefully be back to fighting
Crime.
Fighting crime, fighting fitness very soon, I hope, with any luck. So yes, we will see you again next week with Peter and Anna this time.
But for now, it's good night from me.
Yeah, just come off the live. Don't come out of StreamYard. Just come off the live.
Yeah, we'll do.
Good one. All right, guys. Well, thank you to everyone that's joined us tonight. It's been an absolute blast, and we look forward to seeing you next time.
Indeed. Thank you very much all for joining. See you soon.
Guys.
Good night for now.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.